and welcome. Ishani here. I'm so glad you stopped by and thank you so much for all your love for my previous video. Today we are going to build a cozy scene and play with light, layers and textures. And let me start with showing you the Craft Your Life kit by Altenew that I'll be using for my cards today. This is Illuminated Scenes Craft Your Life kit, and it comprises first of a beautiful set of stamps. This creates two scenes. One is of a living room and one is of the craft room. And I'm sure many of you are like me who love in reality a cozy sitting room and a beautifully lit craft room. So you're going to have great fun with this stamp set, and it has very beautiful, meaningful sentiments also along. So creating the scene requires these stencils, and these are a set of 4 stencils, beautifully engineered, and I love that 2 of these stencils are for both the scenes, like 2 each, and you create beautiful lit scenes just by ink blending. And let's go and see what else do we have. Okay, first, I know many of the times we look at the stamp set and we see, okay, we can create one card, 2 cards, maybe 5 cards, 6 cards, and then that's it. What else do we create with it? But this set, oh my god, the USP of this kit is the beautiful frames it comes with. So you just don't create illuminated scenes, but you also can frame your illuminated scenes. And I love that it has an embossing folder and dies, and you can give texture to your frames. I know you're going to have fun. Like I have been framing all my cards lately, and this is the outermost frame, and then I've also used the one which is actually not the textured frame, just something which comes out of between the 2 frames, and I've used that as well. So in case you would like to get this Craft Your Life kit, it is available at 30% discount with the link that I have added in the description box and also in the comments. If you click that link, it will take you to the Altenew store, and the discount code will automatically be applied at checkout. So in case you're interested, you can get it at a discount. So I'm going to start with stamping my living room scene. I am using stamp wheel. I have a smooth card stock because I want to do ink blending, but I also want to do a little bit of alcohol marker coloring. So for that reason, I'm using Altenew's permanent black ink because it is alcohol marker safe, and I am planning to do some alcohol marker coloring. So I'm starting with the first 2 stencils. This is the first stencil, and I apply it on my cardstock, and I'm sorry I missed recording the initial part. So I took all the yellows and oranges that I had in my stash, and I plan to bring in the yellow light from the windows. So I start with citrus first, which is the lightest ink at the bottom of the window, and add maple yellow a little darker on the above 2 rectangles of the window. Then for the cushions, I have gone with orange cream and fresh lemon to make a mustard color. And also for the pots, I use Sun-Kissed and Warm Sunshine. Now what I do is I use Warm Sunshine, which is my lighter color, for the part which is on the left because the sun rays are falling there, and towards the right will be a little shadow, so I use Sun-Kissed there. Now the same thing on my cushion, I'm showing you I do shadows with my orange cream to create some shadow and make it a little darker. I add more ink onto the right. Now after my first layer of inking, I have actually not colored one of the cushions here. If you note, there was a place where I could add in my color for the cushion, but I have left it because I have some other plans for adding a cushion. So for my sofa, I am bringing in my seashore dye inks, and I'm going to start with my second lightest color, which is Volcano Lake, and wherever the light would fall on my sofa, it would first, where it hits, it is going to get lighter, and the rest of the sofa will be darker. So what I do is on my left of the sofa, I add a light color, which is Volcano Lake, and as we progress towards right of the sofa, I start building more color and depth with my darker inks, which are Lagoon and Emerald. So at the rightmost area of my sofa, which is the arm side and near the pot, I'm using the darkest color, which is emerald. So even in real life, as the closest object to the window will look the lightest. So this is what I've tried to achieve with blending 3 colors of my teals from the seashore fresh dye inks and create this gradient of colors. Now after my sofa is done, it's time to add some more color to the rest of the scene. So I start with the legs of my sofa. I want like brass legs, the gold legs for my sofa. So I have used honey drizzle and sun kissed just a little bit on the right side to create that golden brass like illusion. And now for the table, from the Woodland Escape dye inks, I have taken Dusty Rose and Toasted Mauve. So Toasted Mauve goes a little bit on the right side of the table where there are more shadows, and then I apply heavily on the edge of my table. Next I add the cushion which is behind the cushion that we left uncolored. I'm going to bring in the same colors to make it a little mustardy, but again because it is closest to the window, we are going to make it a little lighter, where I have added some fresh lemon and citrus burst just at the top to add the lightest of the colors. And then it's time to color the little leaves of the arrangement which is on the table. And also I'm using the just green and sweet leaf for adding light and dark colors to this floral arrangement, and the same for my right side pot as well. Sweet leaf for the leaves which are towards the window, and just green, a little darker green, which comes to the end, like the rightmost leaves, just to add some more variation in colors because how the sunlight falls on it. Sometimes when I don't know which color to use in my palette, now I have a book here which has to be colored, so I just go around and bring in my color wheel and go around my color wheel to see which are the colors that I've already used. So I have used yellows and mustards and blue greens, and if I see the family, the next color which comes is blue. You can go ahead and use the tetrad colors and triad, but I think now that I already have one side of spectrum being used, I'll use blue. So for the book, I have taken some Eastern Sky and Ultramarine, and I am adding just the darker color on the bottom side of the book. And now with the book done, it is time to add a little golden brass plate on my table. So I am getting some of the yellows, orange cream. So I've actually mixed my oranges and yellows, the honey drizzle here and orange cream for the brass of golden look. And I want bright yellow flowers, for which I take warm sunshine. This was mango smoothie, and add my mango smoothie onto the flowers. So for the rays which are coming from the window, I want to start with the lightest of the inks, which is lemon burst in my case, and wherever it is hitting the sofa, I'm going to bring a little darker color. So I bring in fresh lemon, and because even fresh lemon is not as dark, I just with a hint of honey drizzle, I'm going to deepen the color of sun rays where it is hitting my sofa. So after the sun rays which are falling from the windows are done, I want to add a little light. I'm using citrus burst to add some color on my throw, and I'm going to do something different here. I'm going to do some paper piecing, and I have the Celebrations paper set by Altenew. You can use any of your stash of pattern paper that you may be hoarding. I have been hoarding these, and now finally I have chosen this cute little floral pattern to add as my upholstery as a cushion for my sofa. In the pattern paper, I've chosen 3 floral designs which are like just very close together, and I can have all these 3 flowers or almost 4 flowers on my cushion, and I stamp over it and then I also stamp the throw, which I also wanted to be the floral pattern. Now actually my stamping wasn't great, so I take another piece and stamp it again, and make sure that I have 4 flowers on each of the corners, or like at least have some beautiful design visible on my cushion. So I selectively stamp And then I'm going to fussy cut my cute little cushion. And when I fussy cut, I make sure to make it look neater. I first, just outside the black line, I use my shears or scissors and then take a black marker and run around the edges, which makes it look cleaner. Next, I cut my throw off. So you have to cut out a little carefully because there's a little bit of table which comes around that throw, and also there's a tassel of the throw which is not needed now because the tassel is already stamped onto our paper. I add citrus burst, some honey drizzle, and add some more texture and like depth of color. And now I want to crochet it, for which I have this lace die by Altenew, and I die cut from my lace die this pretty pattern paper that I had colored with yellows. And I have a beautiful crocheted lace throw for my sofa, for my living room, and I have a matching yellow daisy floral pattern cushion as well. I wish there were some small birds because I actually love birds and I have bird cushions in my house. Let us now come to my favorite part. I want to bring the colors of my scene and I want to bring it out in the frame as well. So I'm using this emerald color cardstock and I have die cut it with this die frame die, and I'm going to add texture. Now you can just put the whole thing inside the embossing folder and bring texture to all these four frames, but my plan is just to get one this time because I may not need it for my other cards this frame and I can use those frames without those textures. So the frame usually is wooden, but I don't have the wooden plate or embossing folder, but I can create my own wood by swiping my dye ink. So I've taken Volcano Lake, which is the lighter ink, and Lagoon, and I'm just going to swipe it horizontally as if my wooden frame was cut out of wood and then painted with teal color, and bring in some texture for the frame. And just the outer frame, after I have added some texture, I'm going to add it into my embossing folder and emboss it. You can do the whole thing. I usually have done the same whole thing, but I want to give myself some creative freedom, and this can be embossed later. And here we have our lovely scene. The framing is right, and now I just need a top folding landscape card base, and I am going to adhere my frame onto my beautiful illuminated scene with glue, and then I will add it after trimming the excess off onto my card base with strong glue. Let me also take this opportunity to invite you for my workshops that I take on Zoom, and I would love you to join me whenever I am playing with Altenew supplies. I also get 20% discount for all my attendees. So if you'd like to join me in my future classes, check out my blog, which is linked in the description below, and I hope to see you there. For the sentiment, I took the sentiment wishing you a comfy birthday and I stamped it with Versamark ink and heat embossed with white embossing powder over my colored cardstock similar to my frame. And just to add more dimension to my scene, I have taken the alcohol markers from the warm gray set. This is WG01 and this is the lightest of those grays, and I'm creating shadows just where they would be under the cushions of the sofa, under the throw, along my armrest, just underneath the leaves, on the leaves to make it more dimensional. So wherever I feel there would be a bit of shadow, I create it with this lightest of the grays. Then what I do after creating this shadow is I take the next darker gray, which is WG03, and I, with its pointed nib, I just go around the same places, just deepening my shadows and creating more dimension. I go ahead and do it around my tray and the table as well. I mean, it's up to you where you want to add shadows. So this creates more dimension on my card. So we've got layers of inks, we've got texture with our paper, texture with the die cuts, creating shadows with markers, and so many techniques put in one simple way of making a card, adding more interest and bringing more of your supplies out and using them and stretching your supplies. With the similar concept, I made another card where I have used the craft room stamp set. I've used similar colors for this card as well. It's just that I added the pattern paper for the chair here and used my markers to add some shadows and a thin frame just around my seam. I hope I have inspired you to get your supplies out and do some creative paper piecing. Also, you can use your die cuts to paper piece like I did for the crocheted throw. If you like my work, I would love you to check out my Instagram and my blog, and I'll really be grateful if you choose to shop via my affiliate link at Altenew store. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed and would create something similar. Thank you for your time. Take care, happy crafting, and bye-bye.